The Bible tells the story of Adam and Eve. They were the first man and woman. God created them. Adam and Eve lived in a beautiful garden. It was called the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were given dominion over all living things. They lived in harmony with nature. There was no sadness or pain. The Garden of Eden was a special place. It was a paradise. God created this garden for Adam and Eve. Rivers flowed through the garden. It was filled with delicious fruits and beautiful plants. Adam and Eve had everything they needed. In the middle of the garden, there was a special tree. God told Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit from this tree. This was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A serpent, a cunning creature, tempted Eve. It told her that the fruit would make her wise like God. Eve gave in to temptation and ate the fruit. She also gave some to Adam. The serpent's words echoed in Eve's mind, promising wisdom and enlightenment. She felt a deep conflict within her, torn between obeying God's command and the allure of the serpent's promise. Eve hesitated, her heart pounding as she considered the consequences. The serpent's eyes glinted with cunning, sensing her wavering resolve. With a deep breath, Eve reached for the fruit, her determination solidifying. As she bit into the fruit, a wave of realization washed over her. Adam approached, and Eve offered him the fruit, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and excitement. Adam took the fruit, and together they ate, sealing their fate. The garden seemed to darken around them, and they looked around in confusion. The serpent slithered away, leaving the couple to face the consequences of their actions. The fruit lay discarded, and the weight of their decision settled heavily upon them. Adam and Eve walked away from the tree, their hearts heavy with the knowledge they had gained. This marked the beginning of consequences for their actions, a turning point in the tale of humanity. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit, everything changed. They disobeyed God's command. This act had consequences. They felt ashamed for the first time. God punished them for their disobedience. He sent them out of the Garden of Eden. As they left, the gates of the garden closed behind them, symbolizing the end of their perfect life. They were now in a world where they had to work hard for their survival. Adam had to toil the soil to grow food, and it was no longer easy. The ground was cursed, and it brought forth thorns and thistles. Eve faced her own set of challenges. She experienced pain during childbirth, a stark contrast to the ease of life in the garden. This pain was a constant reminder of their disobedience. Despite the hardships, they had to continue living and raising their children in this new, harsh world. The consequences of their actions were not just physical, but also spiritual. They were separated from the direct presence of God, which was the greatest loss of all. They had to navigate life with the knowledge of good and evil, a burden they were never meant to carry. Yet even in their punishment, there was a glimmer of hope. God promised that one day a descendant of Eve would crush the serpent's head, symbolizing the ultimate defeat of evil. This promise gave them a reason to hope and continue despite their suffering. The story of Adam and Eve is a timeless tale of disobedience, consequences, and hope. It reminds us of the importance of obedience and the enduring nature of hope, even in the face of great adversity. Gap 3S. Life beyond Eden was a stark contrast to the paradise Adam and Eve once knew. The lush, effortless beauty of the garden was replaced by the harsh, unforgiving wilderness. They had to learn to adapt to their new reality, where survival was no longer guaranteed. Gap 3S. Adam, once a caretaker of the garden, now became a laborer of the land. The soil was tough and the crops were meager. Each day was a struggle to produce enough food. The thorns and thistles were constant reminders of the curse that had fallen upon the earth. His hands, once used to gentle tending, were now calloused and worn from the relentless toil. Gap 3's Eve's life was equally challenging. The ease of living in Eden was replaced by the pain and difficulty of childbirth and child-rearing. She had to endure the physical pain and the emotional burden of raising children in a world filled with hardship and uncertainty. Her nurturing spirit, however, remained strong, and she found solace in the love and growth of her family. Gap 3S. Despite the hardships, Adam and Eve discovered resilience within themselves. They built a simple home from the resources they could gather, creating a safe haven for their growing family. They learned to hunt and gather, to make clothing from animal skins, and to find medicinal herbs for healing. Gap 3S. Their relationship evolved as well. The shared struggle brought them closer, teaching them the value of partnership and mutual support. They found moments of joy in their children's laughter and the simple pleasures of nature, which reminded them of the beauty they had once known. Gap 3S. Spiritually, they faced the profound loss of direct communion with God, yet they clung to the hope of His promise. They taught their children about the Garden of Eden, the forbidden fruit, and the consequences of disobedience, instilling in them the importance of faith and the hope of redemption. Gap 3S. The story of Adam and Eve's life beyond Eden is a testament to human resilience and the enduring power of hope. Even in the face of great adversity, they adapted, survived, and found ways to thrive. Their journey reminds us that while we may fall, we have the strength to rise again, and the promise of a brighter future can guide us through the darkest times. Gap 3S. The legacy of Adam and Eve extends far beyond their life in Eden and their struggles thereafter. Their story holds profound significance in religious texts and continues to influence faith and culture around the world. Gap 3S. In Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, Adam and Eve are not just the first man and woman, they are the progenitors of the human race. Their experiences in the Garden of Eden and their subsequent fall from grace serve as foundational narratives that explain the human condition, the nature of sin, and the need for redemption. Gap 3S. For Christians, the story of Adam and Eve underscores the concept of original sin and the necessity of Jesus Christ's sacrificial death and resurrection to atone for humanity's sins. The New Testament frequently references Adam as a contrast to Christ, emphasizing the redemption that comes through faith. Gap 3S. In Judaism, the tale of Adam and Eve is seen as an allegory for human free will and the moral choices that define our lives. The Torah's account of their creation and fall is a reminder of the consequences of disobedience and the enduring hope for reconciliation with God. Gap 3S. In Islam, Adam and Eve are honored as the first prophets and the parents of humankind. Their story, as told in the Quran, highlights themes of repentance and divine mercy. Gap 3S. Adam's plea for forgiveness and God's compassionate response are central to Islamic teachings on sin and redemption. Beyond religious texts, the story of Adam and Eve has permeated literature, art, and culture. Gap 3S. Their narrative has inspired countless works, from classical paintings to modern novels, each exploring themes of innocence, temptation, and the quest for redemption. The enduring legacy of Adam and Eve lies in their embodiment of universal human experiences. Gap 3S. Their story is a mirror reflecting our own struggles, hopes, and the eternal quest for meaning. It reminds us that despite our flaws and failures, we possess the resilience to seek forgiveness, to rebuild, and to strive for a deeper connection with the divine. Gap 3S. In the end, the tale of Adam and Eve is not just a story of loss and punishment. It is a narrative of hope, resilience, and the enduring human spirit. It teaches us that even in the face of great adversity, we have the potential to rise, to learn, and to seek a brighter future. Gap 3S. Their legacy is a testament to the power of faith, the strength of the human spirit, and the promise of redemption that transcends time and culture. Gap 3S. The Garden of Eden, a place of unparalleled beauty and peace, holds deep symbolic meaning across various cultures and religions. Its lush landscapes and tranquil waters are often seen as ideal representations of paradise, a utopian realm where harmony reigns supreme. Gap 3S. In Christianity, the Garden of Eden symbolizes the innocence and purity of humanity before the fall. It represents a state of perfect communion with God, where humans lived without sin, pain, or suffering. Gap 3S. This idealized vision of Eden serves as a reminder of what was lost and what can be regained through faith and redemption. In Judaism, Eden is not only a literal garden, but also a metaphor for spiritual closeness to God. Gap 3S. The garden's central location in the Torah underscores its importance as a symbol of divine presence and human potential. It reminds followers of the possibility of returning to a state of spiritual purity through righteous living and adherence to God's commandments. Gap 3S. The Islamic perspective on the Garden of Eden also emphasizes themes of divine mercy and forgiveness. In the Quran, Eden is described as a garden of eternal bliss, a reward for those who live in accordance with God's will, gap 3s. It serves as both a reminder of the initial human state of grace and a promise of the ultimate reward for the faithful in the hereafter. Beyond these Abrahamic religions, the concept of a paradisiacal garden appears in various other cultures and mythologies. Gap 3s. In ancient Mesopotamian mythology, for example, the garden is often associated with the gods and serves as a place of divine encounter and immortality. In Eastern traditions, such as in Hinduism and Buddhism, the garden is symbolic of spiritual enlightenment and inner peace. Gap 3s. It represents a sanctuary where one can achieve harmony with the universe and oneself, often through meditation and self-realization. The symbolism of the Garden of Eden extends into literature, art, and popular culture, where it continues to inspire and provoke thought. Gap 3s. From Renaissance paintings to contemporary films, the image of a lost paradise evokes deep reflections on human nature, morality, and the quest for meaning. Ultimately, the Garden of Eden is more than a physical location. It is a powerful symbol of the ideal state of being, a reminder of humanity's highest aspirations and deepest longings. Gap 3s. It calls us to reflect on our own lives, to seek harmony within ourselves and with the world around us, and to strive for a deeper connection with the divine. In every culture and religion that reveres it, the Garden of Eden remains a timeless emblem of peace, purity, and the enduring hope for a return to a state of grace. The story of Adam and Eve, the first man and woman according to the Abrahamic religions, is one of the most well-known narratives in religious history. Created by God and placed in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve lived in a state of innocence and bliss, free from sin and suffering. Their only command was to avoid eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. However, tempted by the serpent, Eve ate the forbidden fruit and shared it with Adam. Their disobedience led to immediate awareness of their nakedness and a sense of shame. As a consequence, they were expelled from Eden, condemned to a life of toil and hardship. This story carries profound moral lessons. Firstly, it teaches the importance of obedience to divine commandments and the repercussions of disobedience. It underscores the concept of free will and the responsibility that comes with it. Secondly, the narrative highlights themes of temptation and the human propensity to make choices that lead to negative consequences. The story also serves as a foundational explanation for the existence of suffering and mortality in the world. Additionally, the expulsion from Eden symbolizes the loss of innocence and the beginning of human struggle, yet it also carries a message of hope and redemption. Despite their fall, Adam and Eve's story is a testament to the possibility of forgiveness and the enduring potential for humanity to seek and achieve reconciliation with the divine. In essence, the story of Adam and Eve is not just about the past. It is a timeless reflection on human nature, the consequences of our actions, and the eternal hope for redemption and a return to grace.